Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about why sleep is so important for your everyday function. And first of all, sleep is essential for our tissue repair because without sleep, we have no release of growth hormone, or we have less release of growth hormone without sleep. So, growth hormone is important because it enables us to increase our protein synthesis in our bones and our muscle, and most tissues of our body rely on growth hormone during the night to recover and even improve. Um, and without sleep, you will have an increase of cortisol, and cortisol kind of, you can think about it, it like destroys tissue. It's a stress hormone. And so when cortisol is elevated and growth hormone is decreased, that combination makes it so that it's hard for you to recover from intense workouts, stress during the day, or just whatever life throws at you. So that's why it's important to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, because sleep increases the release of growth hormone from your pituitary gland, and it allows for tissue repair during the night. Sleep is also important for memory consolidation. I won't get into that too much, but essentially it turns short-term memory into long-term memory and throws the junk that you don't need out, that sensory information that you have every day. And the other thing is, quality sleep has an antidepressant effect. So depression might be closely related with insomnia, and by setting your circadian rhythm by viewing light in the morning and reducing lights at night, you'll get better sleep and theoretically decrease your symptoms of depression if you struggle with that. Obviously though, see a doctor. This is just general information for you guys. So we know sleep is important. So how do we actually improve the quality of our sleep? And the first thing that I could say is to wake up and go to sleep at the same time every single day. And for me, that means I wake up at 5 in the morning and I go to sleep at 9 p.m. And this depends greatly on your age, sex, lifestyle, but the range of sleep that's recommended from the CDC is about 7 to 9 hours, somewhere in that window, which is pretty generous. So just pick a time. You could do 7 hours minimum, or if you feel that you need that 9 hours total, then go for it if you need it to relieve stress and maintain healthy brain function, right? So winging sleep is not gonna give you the best results. So I actually schedule my sleep into my calendar so that I don't have to do the guesswork. I know every night I should be starting to wind down around 7, and then 8:30 I'm really reducing light exposure and getting ready for that 9 p.m. Sleep, right? Because it's so important for most functions of our body, so we should probably take it seriously. And don't stress out if you do not get your perfect optimal sleep every night, right? Because sometimes on a Friday you're gonna have to go out and enjoy life with friends, go to a bar. It's totally normal, but just think most nights of the week you're getting that eight hours of sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep, whatever your preference is for your own personal body, right? And a 30-minute variance is okay day to day. And don't panic if you have insomnia-like symptoms and you can't go to sleep. Realize the worst thing that can happen is you'll be groggy the next day, and you should try to calm down, read a book, do something to distract yourself, like low light Kindle, and wind down until you feel drowsy and then go to sleep immediately. Do not open your phone and blast yourself with bright light and scroll social media. That's very counterproductive for your goal of quality sleep. And the next tip is basically to go see the sun, get sunlight in your eyes the moment after you wake. And this means you could go for a walk with your dog, have coffee on the porch, read, journal outside under the sun. This will all help you set your circadian rhythm. And you should view sunlight in the morning right after you wake, in the middle of the day, and even watching the sunset. So that low sunlight in the evening also helps set your circadian rhythm. But I think the most important is to get sunlight in your eyes in the morning to spike your cortisol early in the day, so that cortisol spike doesn't happen closer when you sleep. which would prevent you from going to sleep because you're spiking your sympathetic nervous system, which is not ideal. You want to be relaxed by the time you go to sleep. For me, this is huge. I like to exercise during the day. As a student physical therapist, I think it's essential for more than just helping me go to sleep, but I also notice a side effect of exercise is that on days that I do exercise, my sleep is deeper and I fall into sleep easier. And the only note on this is to not exercise too close to sleep, because exercise releases epinephrine. It activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight nervous system that you don't want activated too close to when you sleep. So try to exercise in the morning if you can, or in the afternoon optimally. But if you have to exercise close to when you sleep, just realize that you might be feeling more awake on days you do that. And this next tip is especially important if you experience insomnia-like symptoms or depression. Avoid napping, right? So keep your naps under 30 to 60 minutes if you have to nap. And personally, I only do these things called non-sleep deep breaths for 15 minutes, where I basically lay in bed for 15 minutes, close my eyes, focus on diaphragm breathing. So that's breathing through your belly. And I do that for about 15 minutes and focus on deep breathing. And that usually gets me in a point where at the end of that 15 minutes, I'm feeling rested and alert, and I'm ready to continue my work or whatever I was doing before that. And this is important because if you do nap during the day, you're going to almost spoil your sleep at night. And I think a lot of people who have insomnia can get a lot of benefit by just cutting out their naps during the day, because you're basically sleeping during the day. And I think you could get a lot of benefit by just delaying that until you sleep at night. The next tip to optimize your sleep is to not take in stimulants late in the day. So caffeine is notorious for having a pretty long half-life, which means that it takes 5 hours to decay by half in your bloodstream. So this is why I keep my caffeine right about noon. I cut it off, because that way, by the time I'm going to sleep, the drug is pretty much all metabolized. If I have 100 milligrams and I sleep 10 hours later, that's about 25 milligrams left in my bloodstream, which is still a quarter cup of coffee, but it's better than having a cup of coffee at 8 p.m. and then you're still metabolizing that caffeine, the stimulant, well into your sleep, which could be disruptive, right? And the other thing is nicotine-containing cigarettes should be avoided before sleep for obvious reasons. They have a similar effect to caffeine. So if you are a stimulant-consuming person, attempt to keep your stimulant use in the morning, kind of like exercise, because it spikes your sympathetic nervous system, makes you feel awake and energized, which is totally fine, but just front load it to the beginning of the day so that by the time you're sleeping, you're in that mindset, your sympathetic nervous system is on the down low and not at the peak. And so what do we do to get ready for bed? And this is important because melatonin is notorious for being a popular supplement that people take before they sleep, but you can get that melatonin naturally through reducing your light exposure 2 hours before bed and limiting your phone and computer usage about 2 hours before you go to sleep. And I know that's intimidating because we are addicted to our technology, but if you have tasks like writing or reading that you would like to do with a Kindle or a physical book, that would be great if you could do that about 2 hours before you sleep instead of scrolling Instagram or another social media, because that bright light is going to reduce your release of melatonin, which is needed for quality sleep. And if you're not getting melatonin, I do not recommend you take melatonin supplements. Speak to a doctor if you think that's indicated. However, keep your environment dark as possible before you sleep and use the minimum lights possible. So I turn off bright overhead lights, I turn on smaller lamps, and when I'm sleeping, I turn off everything. So my sleep environment is cool. It's between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is a good range for most people. And high temperatures should be reduced because they are associated with worse sleep quality and a higher wakefulness. So keep your room as cool and as dark as possible. And light should only be used to safely walk to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And beyond that, guys, those are my tips to optimize your sleep, to improve your health. And if you think anything I missed out, like, let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel, and this will be on my website, cartergansky.com, and crgphysicaltherapy.com. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and have a good day. Peace.